Hello students, I am Raghavendra Kumar Singh, teaching faculty of US Academy and Institute. Today we will discuss class 10th Geography's first chapter, Resource and Development. Now first, what did you understand by resources? What are resources? Everything in our environment which can be used to satisfy in our needs and is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable is termed as resources. Human beings themselves are essential components of resources. They transform materials available in the environment into resources and use them. Then, classification of resources. Resources can be classified in the following ways. Number 1, on the basis of their origin. Suppose it is biotic or abiotic. Number 2, on the basis of their exhaustibility. Suppose renewable and non-renewable. Third, on the basis of ownership. It should be individual. It should be from any community. It should be at national level or international level. Fourth, on the basis of status of development. Suppose it should be from the potential, developed stock, or reserved. Now come to the first one, on the basis of origin, means it should be biotic or abiotic. What do you understand by biotic? Biotic resources are obtained from the biosphere and have life. For example, human beings, flora and fauna, fisheries, and have livestock, etc. Abiotic resources. Abiotic resources are those resources from which all those things which are composed of non-living things are called abiotic resources. For example, rocks and metals. Now come to the second topic, on the basis of exhaustibility, means renewable or non-renewable. The resources which can be renewed or reproduced by physical, chemical, or mechanical process are known as renewable or replenishable resources. The renewable resources may further be divided into continuous of flow. For example, solar and wind energy, water, forest, wildlife, and so on. Then non-renewable resources. which occurs over a long or very long geological time. These resources take millions of years in their formation. Some of the resources, like metals, are recyclable, and some, like fossils, fuels, or fossils, cannot be recycled and get exhausted, means ended with their use. For example, minerals and fossil fuels. Then the third one, on the basis of ownership. Any individual person should be the owner, or a community should be the owner, or national level company should be the owner, or the international level company should be the owner, in which individual resources are owned privately by individual. In villages, people own lands, whereas in urban areas, people own plot for their houses and for other properties. For example, plantation, pasture lands, ponds, water in the well, etc. Now, community owned resources. These type of resources are accessible to all the members of the community, such as grazing grounds, burial grounds, public parks, picnic spot, playgrounds, etc. Now, national resources are those resources which are owned by a particular nation or a country. All the minerals, water resources, forests, wildlife, land within the political boundaries and oceanic area up to 12 nautical miles, which is about 22 kilometer and 200 meter from the coast, termed as territorial water and resources therein belong to the nation. For example, road, canals, railways, and many more. Now, international resources are the resources which can regulated by international institution or organization. The oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles of the exclusive economical zone belongs to open ocean, and no individual country can be utilized these without the concurrence of international institution. Now, on the basis of status of development, means the potential, developed stock, and reserves. What did you understand by potential resources? Potential resources are the resources which are found in a particular region but have not been utilized. For example, Rajasthan and Gujarat have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy, but so far these have not been developed properly. Developed resources. Resources which are surveyed and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. The development of resources depend on technology and level of their feasibility. Materials in the environment which have the potential to satisfy human needs but humans belongs do not the appropriate technology to assess these are called stocks. Now, for these types of stocks, such as the examples can be hydrogen, which can be used as a rich source of energy, but we do not have advanced technology to use it. Then after that, reserves. Reserves are the subset of stocks which can be put into use with the help of existence technical know-how, but their use has not been started. These can be used for meeting future requirements such as waters in the dam, forests, etc. is a reserve which can be used in the future. Now, what about the development of resources? Development of resources. Resources can be used by human beings indiscriminately, and this has led to the following major problems. Duplication of resources for satisfying the greed of a few individuals. Accumulation of resources in a few hands, which in turn divided the society into two segments, that is, rich or poor. It has led to global economical crises such as global warming, ozone layer depletion, environmental pollution, and land degradation. Resource planning is essential for the sustainable existence of all forms of life. Sustainable economic development means development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the need of future generation. Now, resource planning. In India, there are some regions which can be considered self-sufficient in terms of the availability of resources which have acute shortage of some vital resources. These calls for balanced resource planning at the national level, at the state level, at the regional level, and at the local level. Now, resource planning in India. Resource planning is a complex process which involves: number one, identification and inventory of resources across the region of the country. This involves surveying, mapping, and qualitative and quantitative estimation and measures of the resources. Number two, evolving a planning structure endowed with appropriate technology, skill, and institutional sets up for implementation resources development plans. Matching the resource development plan with overall national level plans, such as resources can contribute to development only when they are accompanied by appropriate technological development and institutional changes. India has made concerted efforts towards achieving the goals of resource planning right from the 5-year plan launched after independence to overall irrigation consumption and overutilization of resources. Resources conserved at various levels in very important. For that, land resources are very important for us. Land is a natural resource of utmost importance. It supports natural vegetation, wildlife, human life, economical activities such as transport and communication system. India has large land under a variety of relief features named mountains, plateaus, plains, and islands. Land utilization. Land resources are used for the following purposes: for forest lands not available for cultivation, barren and wasteland, land put to non-agricultural uses. Land use pattern in India. The land use pattern should be determined by the physical features or physical factors such as topography, climate, soil type, and human factors such as population density, technological capability, and culture and tradition. Wasteland is the land put to other non-agricultural uses, which include rocky, arid area, and desert areas, roads, railways, industries, etc. Continuous use of land over a long period of time without taking appropriate measure to conserve and manage it has resulted in land degradation. What did you understand by land degradation and conservation? Land degradation and conservation measures with the help of human activities such as deforestation, overgrazing, mining, and quarrying have contributed significantly to land degradation. Mining sites have deep scars and traces of overburdening the land. In recent years, industrial influence as waste have become a major source of land and water pollution in many parts of our country. Some of the ways through which we can solve the problem of land degradations are: number one, or many ways: afforestation and proper management of grazing, plantation of shelter belts of plants, stabilization of sand dunes by growing thorny bushes, proper management of waste lands, control of mining activities, proper discharge and disposal of industrial influence, and waste after treatment. Now, soil as a resource. Soil is the most important renewable natural resource. It is the median of plant growth and support different types of living organisms on the earth. It takes millions of years to form soil, up to a few centimeters in depth. Various forces of nature, such as change in temperature, action of running water, wind, and glaciers, activities of decomposers, etc., contribute to the formation of soil, parent rock or bedrock, climate, vegetation, and other forms of life, and time as important factor in which the information of the soil or the formation of the soil should occur. Chemical and organic changes which takes place inside the soil plays an important role. Soil also consists of organic substance named humus and inorganic materials which can be classified in the classification of soils. On the basis of these factors, which are responsible for soil formation, color, thickness of the soil, texture of the soil, the age of the soil, chemical composition of the soil, and physical properties of the soil. The soil of India are classified in different types, such as alluvial soil. The entire northern plains are made of alluvial soil. The alluvial soil is deposited by three important Himalayan river canals or river systems: the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. It is also found in Rajasthan, Gujarat, and eastern coastal plains, particularly in the deltas of Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, and the Kaveri rivers. The alluvial soil consists of various proportion of sand, silt, and clay. As we move inland towards the river valleys, soil particles appears to be bigger in size, whereas in the upper side of the river valley, the soil are coarse based on age. Alluvial soil can be classified as old alluvial, which is Bangar. Bangar soil has the highest concentration of canker nodules in the khadar, and new alluvial means the khadar. It has more fine particles and is more fertile than the Bangar. Alluvial soil are very fertile. These soils contain an adequate proportion of potash, phosphoric acid, and lime, which are ideal for the growth of sugarcane, paddy, wheat, and other cereals and pulses crops. Now, the black soil. Black soil is black in color and is also known as regur soil. Climatic condition along with the parent rocks materials are the important factor for the formation of black soil. The soil is ideal for growing cotton and is also known as black cotton soil because cottons are always grown in these types of soils. This type of soil is typically found of the Deccan Plateaus or the Deccan Trap, which is named as basalt. Region spread over northwest Deccan Plateaus and is made up of lava flows. The soil covers the plateaus of Maharashtra, Saurashtra, Malwa, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and extends in the southeast direction along with Godavari and the Krishna valleys. The black soil are made up of extremely fine substances such as clayey material and well known for their capacity to hold moisture. Black soil is nutrient rich and contains calcium carbonate, magnesium, potash, and lime. The soil is sticky when wet and difficult to work on unless tilled immediately after the first shower or during the pre-monsoon period. Now, the red and yellow soil. Look at the map. Most of the soil conditions where it should be found are located in this map. Now come to the red and yellow soil. This soil develops on crystalline igneous rocks in areas of low rainfall in the eastern and southern parts of the Deccan Plateaus. These soil develop a reddish color due to diffusion of iron in crystalline and metamorphic rocks. It looks yellow when it occurs in a hydrated forms found in parts of Odisha, Chhattisgarh, southern parts of medieval Ganga plains and along with Piedmont zone of the Western Ghats. Laterite soil. The laterite soil develops under the tropical and subtropical climate with the alternate wet and dry season. This soil is the result of intense leaching due to heavy rain. Laterite soil are acidic because its pH is less than 6 in nature and generally deficient in plants' nutrients. This type of soil is found mostly in southern states, Western Ghats, and the region of Maharashtra, Odisha, some of the parts of West Bengal and Northeast region. The soil supports deciduous and evergreen forests, but humus poor. This soil is very useful for growing tea and coffees. Now, the arid soil. Arid soil ranges from red to brown in color. This soil is generally sandy in texture and saline in nature. In some areas, the salt content is very high, and common salt is obtained by evaporating the water. Arid soil lacks humus and moisture. The lower horizon of the soil are occupied by canker because of the increasing calcium content downward. The canker layer formation in the bottom horizon restrict the infiltration of water. Now, the forest soil. These types of soils are found in the hilly and mountain areas. The soil texture is loamy and silty in valley sides and coarse-grained in the upper slopes in the snow-covered areas of Himalayas. These soil experience denudation and are acidic with low humus content. The soil is fertile on the river traces and alluvial fans. Now the next topic is soil erosion and soil conservation. The denudation of the soil cover and the consequent or the subsequent washing down is described as soil erosion. The soil erosion is caused due to some human activities like deforestation, overgrazing, construction, and mining, etc. Also, these are some natural forces like wind, glacier, and water, which leads to soil erosion. Soil erosion is also caused due to defective method of farming. The running water cuts through the clay soils and makes deep canals as gullies. The land becomes unfit for cultivation and is known as bad land. When water flows as a sheet over large area down a slope and the topsoil is washed away, it is known as sheet erosion. Wind blows loose soil off flat or sloping lands as wind erosion. Different ways for soil conservation. Plowing. Also, the counter line decelerate the flow of water down to slopes. This is called counter plowing. Terrace cultivation restrict erosion. This type of agriculture practices is done in western and central Himalayas. When a large field is divided into strips and strips of grasses are left to grow between the crops, then this breaks up the force of the wind. This method is known as strip cropping. Planting lines of trees to create shelter helps in the stabilization of sand dunes and in stabilizing the deserts in western India. Rows of such trees are called shelter belts.